Good evening, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming to Speak Up and Vote's press conference. My name is Pam Port, and I am the coordinator of Speak Up and Vote. And I have with me my phenomenal team. We have Trista Brown and Sherry Williams. And we have this, basically what we're running here is an advocacy campaign. That's what we're doing here. And so just a little bit of background here. Speak Up and Vote is an advocacy campaign. And really what we do is we work to, we're from Joliet, Illinois, and our whole goal is to work to get the disadvantaged registered to vote, the underserved communities. We've been doing that for the last 2 years. So today's press conference will consist of the following. Trista Brown will talk about where we started. Sherry Williams will speak about where we're at. And then at the very end, I'll come back and I'll share where we're actually going. And then how you, as a community advocate and ordinary citizen, can get involved in this work. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and get started, and Trista is going to start.
Well, hello, everybody. It was interesting how we got started. It was Pam always come up with something that she wanted to do for the community, but we know it was challenged because of the COVID-19. So we decided together that we should go out and take it to the streets. And in the midst of taking it to the streets, you guys know that we had to be cautious and everything had to be outside. So it was doing some summer weathers, but it was definitely doing some cold weathers. So we would like to tell you that when we say take it to the streets, we took it literally to the streets. We set out and outside the areas like even nursing homes, as well as the veterans, as well as the churches. And we decided that, in order for people to come, we have to come to them. So it was really important that we was able to go to the streets by talking to people. Some people haven't even ever registered. We had an opportunity to register people at one of the mosques where they had just got their, came from out of the country and was never, ever voted before. And so it was interesting that we did this from August all the way until October, Pam? Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the way up to October. So we decided again, let's take it to the streets. If they can't come to us, we coming to them.
That's right.
And so that's how we started it. So we just wanted you to let you know that we're still taking it to the streets.
Yes. Thank you so much, Trista. And next we'll have Sherry. And let me just say that State Senator John Connor, he couldn't make it today. He really, truly wanted to come, his regards, but we are so grateful for Senator Connor, because without him, none of this would really be possible for what we're actually getting ready to do in our jails in Will County. But Sherry is going to share with you where we're actually at and how all this came about with the work in the jails. Sherry?
Hi, everybody. My name is Sherry Williams, and I am a retiree from the Will County Sheriff's Department. So when I got involved with Speak Up and Vote, I thought that the underserved people are the detainees at the Will County Adult Detention Facility, the Will County Jail. So being that that's my former boss, we approached him to see if we could get registration done in the jail. He wasn't as cooperative as we would hope that he would have been, but so we went in another direction. Pam said, well, you know what? Cook County has a polling place at their jail. Why don't we see if we can get something like that at the Will County jail? So it just so happens I'm a member of the Will County Democratic Black Caucus. Senator John Connor was a speaker at one of our meetings, and he said, if you guys have any legislation that you'd like for me to move forward, let me know. Well, I said, well, we might as well try to see if we can get voting at the jail. So I sent him the email, told him what we needed. He looked into it, decided that he would sponsor a shell bill, and it actually ended up being part of the bigger omnibus bill, but the bill got passed. And then we approached the Sheriff Mike Kelly again. This time, though, he was a bit more cooperative, and we were able to set up some meetings with him, and he is on board as far as getting the voter registration and for the polling place at the Will County Jail. We also we contacted the Will County Clerk, who is our election authority, and she was dragging her feet a little bit again. But as I said at the beginning, before the call, I was talking to her right before this call, and she's on board with getting us anything that we need. She said that's basically what she said. So we're moving forward with that. We're very happy that they have decided to take us seriously, and we're looking forward to getting in there and getting people registered and them being able to vote.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because one thing with us, the three of us, no doesn't mean no. No just means not right now. You know, that's how we look at no. Okay. So that's a little bit about us. So now what we want to do is I want to be able to have others just share with you the importance of this work, and then we'll talk about at the end what we're doing next. So we'll start with let's see here. Let's start with Clerk Karen Yarbrough, which is the election authority of Cook County. And she's going to basically talk about the importance of the role that the county clerk's office plays in voter registration in the jails. Karen?
Well, I'll say good evening again to all of you. And thanks to all of you for your advocacy work and all that you're doing to promote voters registration and expanding access to the ballot. You know, I often tell people that I am so glad I live in Illinois. As I look across the United States and see how they're turning back people and trying to, dilute the vote, they're trying to keep people from voting. I know in Illinois, that's not happening. Quite the contrary. I also would be remiss if I didn't thank John Connor for his service in the legislature and this most recent effort to designate county jails across the state as temporary polling places during elections. In 2019, it was my second year of serving as a county clerk. Of course, the governor signed this legislation that designated our jail as an election polling place. Cook County was one of the first jails to be designated as a polling place in Illinois. And this was an initiative I was very much welcome and very much supported. We worked, though, very, very carefully and closely with our county sheriff and as well as the Cook County Board of Elections. Despite the onset of COVID-19 pandemic, we opened and operated a polling place in Cook County and for the March 2020 presidential election. It was an immense challenge. Let me tell you, anybody who says that it wasn't, they don't know. I mean, the whole election was a challenge, okay? But we did it. We persevered, and we've had a polling place at that jail ever since that time. I was there for that, and I'm telling you, I watched these guys for the first time in many cases vote for the very first time. They liked the fact that, they were there, they could exercise their right to vote. And it was the first time for many, many of them. Now, you know what? Our success, it was simply a direct result of the dedication of our elections team and the clerk's office, our partnership with the sheriff, Tom Dart, the Chicago Board of Elections. We were all on the same page. It's always nice when you're all on the same page, but you know what? You got to strike while the iron is hot, right? When, I like what you said about when somebody says, no, it just means not yet. That's the way I like that, So, we are probably the largest county jurisdiction in the nation that conducts in-person live voting for pre-trial detainees. And I'm really proud that we can deliver this expanded access to the ballot for the underprivileged and especially for the incarcerated. As other jurisdictions such as yours move to implement jail voting, I want to assure you this is an effort worth doing and worth making. When you give a person the power to vote, you change their lives. You really do. You change their lives. The right to vote is empowering, it's uplifting, and it's particularly impactful for those who are incarcerated. So I spent 12 years in the legislature, and I had the honor to serve as the committee chairperson for, and we oversaw the prisons. I've been in many of the prisons all across the state of Illinois, and the director would have to come to my committee for their budget. And so, I mean, I held people accountable, while I was there. But one of the things that I was truly distressed about.
Got about 1 minute.
Okay, truly distressed about was how they're not really connected back to community. So if we can get this right in terms of doing it in the jails, so that people, and it's like taking their rights away from them before they're even found guilty. That's exactly what it is. But anyway, let me just end with congratulations on your amazing work. And I look forward to continue to work with all of you to ensure your success. I look forward to your success.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the work that you're doing in Chicago, and really being a template for the rest of the counties. We're appreciative of that. Thank you so much. Okay, so the next speaker will be Dr. Christina Rivers, and she is Associate Professor of Political Science at the University, I call it DePaul University. And she will speak about the importance of this work that we're doing, in the jail. So Christina, take it away.
Thank you, Pamela, and I appreciate your timing. Please do not hesitate to put up the football symbol in case I'm so honored and delighted to speak here about this important and under-recognized aspect of voting and democracy in America. I'm going to focus my comments and my experiences with voting, focus on my comments on my experiences with voting and registration at Cook County Jail. I have volunteered to register voters and have volunteered also as a poll watcher there since 2016 in collaboration with the organization Chicago Votes and with the Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. 2016 was one of the first times that citizens detained at Cook County Jail had an opportunity to register and vote there since the 90s. Since 2016, I've participated in at least 3 primary elections and 2 general elections at the jail, and I go there to register voters about 2 or 3 times a year. It's crucial for me to note here that the Chicago and the county boards of elections had successfully conducted elections at the jail through the 1980s and 90s, but that practice had dissipated over the years. So 2016 sort of revived that practice. In 2020, faculty from DePaul and other colleges that offer programs at the jail also began to conduct civics education workshops there. These workshops are in keeping with the 2019 law that mandates voter access in Illinois jails of a certain size, which has been mentioned here already. Between 80 and 100 women and men attended each of these workshops, in which we covered the basics of eligibility, registration, and the various offices in contention. We also explained what a referendum vote is. We also notified the audience of the services of electionprotection.org in case they run into problems voting while either at the jail or at a precinct if they were released after this workshop. We delivered this information in a nonpartisan manner, and we did not tell our audience whom or what to vote for. So what I've observed during voter registration and poll watching is a very engaged population in several ways. Once voters there realize they have the right to vote, they are eager to do so. Once they realize they have the right to vote, they are eager to get reliable information on issues and candidates. This is a big one. Many of those whom I've registered at the jail have voted before. I'd say most have voted before. And typically those are in the older population. For the younger population, sometimes this is their first time registering. Many express their recognition of the importance of voting, but don't take my word for it. For the March 20 election at Cook County Jail, if I'm thinking of the right election, I think I am, there was a 40% turnout among voters at the jail, which is really, really impressive. What I have observed during the 3 civics workshops that I conducted before the pandemic hit was even more encouraging. There was a strong awareness that an election was coming up. There were strong opinions on the issues and candidates. And again, we didn't advise individuals how to vote, but it was really clear that they've been thinking about it. There was a significant and sophisticated understanding of political and power dynamics. And this might sound counterintuitive, but there was also a healthy skepticism about voting and elections. As a political scientist, I was actually glad to see some healthy skepticism and to hear them even briefly debate in the short time that I was there. It was great to hear them briefly debate over their priorities and to discuss some of their skepticism. So from the snippets of these debates and from the results of surveys of currently and formerly incarcerated people about their political preferences, it's clear that detained voters are not monolithic, no more so than the general population. The political interests of detained and incarcerated people are nuanced and sophisticated. Sheriff Dart and key jail administration and staff and Chicago and Cook County election board members and administration have solidly supported all of these efforts since 2016. I look forward to continued participation in these efforts, and my colleagues and I are really eager, I mean really eager, to resume the civics workshops. I'm encouraged by the news of voter access recently, this past Tuesday at Houston's County Jail. And I now look forward to Speak Up and Votes and Senator Connor's success in ensuring access to this fundamental right at Will County Jail. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rivers. And then next up, we'll have Ami Gandhi. She's a senior counsel for Chicago Lawyers, excuse me, Chicago, I always make sure I get this correct, Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. And she's going to talk about the importance of this bill and really where do we go from here and the advocacy part pretty much that her office plays in that. Ami?
Thank you so much. Thank you and congratulations to Speak Up and Vote on all of your monumental success. My name is Ami Gandhi, and I am the senior attorney for voting rights at Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. I have the chance to lead our organization's nonpartisan voting rights work for Illinois and Indiana. And our organization has been around since the civil rights era, working to secure racial equity and economic opportunity. My work is focused on lowering the barriers to the ballot for historically marginalized citizens and addressing the existing persistent racial gaps in our voting system. Public Act 102-015, also called Senate Bill 825 that you've heard about that activists helped to pass this year, has done exactly that to try to move us forward in improving our voting system. By allowing more jails to become polling places, this landmark legislation strengthens our democracy for all of us, whether we are in pretrial detention or whether we're on the outside. Senate Bill 825 breaks the link between our mass incarceration system and mass voter disenfranchisement, both of which are historically rooted in racist policies and practices, especially against Black community members. I'm very proud of the role that our organization has played in expanding voter access for those Americans who have the highest hurdles to cross in casting their ballots, including people in the criminal legal system. If we want to protect and expand the fundamental right to vote, we need to first listen to those people most directly impacted by those barriers. Since 2016, our organization has been working with incarcerated and returning citizens, learning about their longstanding interest and commitment in making a positive impact on their communities. These individuals have brought us critical insights about the gaps in our civic institutions. And it was community members who have faced these experiences in places like jail, in pretrial detention, who pointed to the issues in accessing the ballot. In many of our jails, the vast majority of people there are US citizens who are locked up and detained pre-trial and therefore have the full legal right to vote. But in many situations, in a practical sense, it becomes difficult or impossible for them to actually exercise that right to vote. And there are, unfortunately, a smaller percentage of eligible voters who are in jail who actually have the chance to exercise their right to vote. Working with people like Dr. Rivers and organizations like Chicago Votes, and now more recently working with another nonpartisan organization, Speak Up and Vote, and also working in partnership with local authorities, some of whom you've heard from here tonight. We have conducted voter protection work in places like Cook County Jail for the last several elections, advocating when barriers come up, working with officials to try to overcome them, working really from a problem-solving point of view of how can we make sure that all eligible voters have their rights respected. Like those kind of wins over the years, Senate Bill 825 is a transformational law for Illinois and for thousands of citizens who have been wrongfully disenfranchised while in jail. The first time being involved with the voting process in jail, I was warned that it would be chaotic and dangerous. And over the years, and after numerous elections of having the privilege to be involved in voter protection work for community members in jail, I realized that there are very serious and dangerous myths that are perpetuated about eligible voters in jail. I've had the privilege to see the voting process in jail numerous times now, along with a team of civil rights attorneys. And I have to say that the voters that we meet in the jail environment are among the most dedicated and passionate voters that we meet in any kind of polling place, in any kind of voting environment. We come across a lot of people who are very informed about our government systems and who are eager to learn more and to find some specific ways to make an impact, including by voicing their opinions during election time. Looking forward to more work to make voting even more accessible in Will County and beyond. Thanks so much for the chance to join you all.
Wonderful. And last but not least, I want to introduce Rita Houston, and she's recently now in Florida, but she lived in Chicago her whole life, and she worked, she's a retiree. So Rita, for what, DCFS. So if you can just share, Rita, just your take on what all of this means to you, being from Chicago. Because she's the one that connected the dots for us with the other groups. And we thank you for that, relentlessly.
Yes, it's the relentless part that's really always a challenge. Great. Voting is one of the most endeared privileges of being a citizen. It's a right that makes us different in so many other places. So one of the things about government voting, which is a division of a larger mission of this organization, to try to just make sure that people who have not played an active role in this part of society, that they feel wanted, that they feel their opinion matters. And when people feel their opinion matters and they're engaged in the process, it makes for some foundation for other areas of their nutrients and society's successful basis. So that's why this process is so very important, because it'll be just one more thing for all of the tasks of engagement that we would like to see everybody have. And this is an especially important time to be on board with a voting campaign. There was a lot of press and celebrity attention given to the last election being a presidential election, but a lot of times people don't give attention to local elections. But it's local elections that make the difference on the streets where you live. So anything that can be done to engage any part of the community in voting in this election will be so very important. That's it.
Thank you so much. So just to end this real quick, what we're doing, where do we go from here? Our second phase of this campaign is we firmly expect, in the spring to be in the Will County Jail doing voter registration, and then during the actual election, we'll be actually registering people to actually vote. That's our goal. And then the other thing on the outside, we will be doing, we will be having forums for the actual seats, for the actual offices that's up for re-election. We want people to know what it is that they do and what role that they can play in it. Because it's important, because if you don't vote, you don't count. So that's our role. This is what we'll be doing come the spring. All the footwork is being done now, boots on the ground, and come the spring, the real work begins. So the struggle continues. This is not easy, but it is definitely worth it. It is definitely worth it. I want to thank each and every one of our partners that came on board with us, because in the beginning, we didn't know what we were doing, but we just knew we wanted it done. You know, we made it happen. And so kudos. We're going to be going into the jails. We're going to be doing voter registration. We are excited because we know in our community, this can change the trajectory of our elections in our community. And we are excited about doing that. So thank you all so much. And for any other reporters that's on the line that want to have a conversation, we're more than welcome to do so. I said 6:30. I try to keep my time limited to that time frame. So if there's nothing else, thank you all. Enjoy your weekend. It's Friday, and get ready for back to work on Monday. Continue to do the same work that we did today and yesterday, and we'll be doing it again tomorrow. Thank you all so much. Any last closing words, Sherry?
Just wanted to thank everybody, and also to say that for the other jails in the state of Illinois, it can be done.
Yes.
It's not an easy task, but it is something that you can, it's only me and Pam, just regular people. If you want to do it, just get out there and try to do it, get the cooperation of your sheriff and of your election authority, and go from there. But just do it. If you think that something needs to be done, please get out there and try it.
And we will actually, I will have, within 24 hours, we will have links. So for those people that's out there that want to actually, you know, get involved in the process in their own communities, you'll be able to do that. Like I said, it's not easy, but it's definitely worth it. But the links will be under the video within the next 24 hours, because that was the whole purpose of doing this, letting people know if we could do it from our small community, we know the other 100 communities can do it too, for those that's interested. The struggle continues, but it's worth it. It is worth it. It is worth all the hard work and effort. Okay? Thank you all so much. So if there's any questions, we are here to answer that. We'll stay on the line. And for each, you know, for everybody else, if you want to go ahead and get off, you most certainly can. And thanks a bunch. And I'll send you all the link probably Saturday evening, Sunday at the latest, okay? And this will also be on our webpage, speakupandvote.com. Oh, Michelle, okay. Sure. Go ahead, Michelle, speak.
Sure, am I muted?
Yes, you're unmuted. Mm-hmm.
I'm okay, thank you. I just had a really quick question. Right now, this is just pertaining to the Will County Jail.
Well, the work that we're doing, but the bill is for all 101 counties, you know, in Illinois.
Okay. Will other counties, do you know, are they also adopting this? Or right now you're just working with Will County? And
well, we're just working with our county. The premise behind the press conference is to let other counties know that this is applicable for them as well.
I think that Kane County actually has something in the works as well.
And so, Michelle, just to point out a distinction, and Ami, please correct me where I go wrong here. There's a big difference between having voter access to voting by mail for somebody who is detained and being able to actually register and then vote in person. There are far fewer steps, and it can be, of course, problematic if somebody registers while they're detained, but then by the time the election comes around, you know, they're having to find that ballot if it's mailed to them. There's just many more steps, and you had to be thinking much more about that while you're detained. And of course, when you're detained, you've got a lot of pressure and a lot of other things on your mind, right? So to provide voter access while somebody's in jail, not having to do a mail-in ballot where they can just come in and vote right there. And because Illinois also has election day registration, this really eases that process. It eases that process for people on the outside, where there are hurdles for them as well, but it really eases that process, the logistical hurdles of trying to vote while one is incarcerated or detained in a jail, if that makes sense. And
Yes.
Ami, you can please feel free to clarify that.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, and in your remarks earlier as well, the turnout in Cook County Jail went up notably when it was not just voting by mail that was offered, but when in-person access started, including in-person access to same-day registration. It makes a world of difference. And so I would say that really the question is to the government authorities in each of these counties. What are they doing about this law that now allows them, it's been signed into law, and it allows them to establish an in-person polling place in their jail. If they're choosing not to, what's the reason for that? You know, it should be a conversation about, yes, starting with Will County, and it sounds like possibly Kane County as well, from a comment that someone else made here. But there are a lot of other places. There are a lot of other government officials who should be asking of themselves, let's consider this as well. When can we make this happen?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Michelle, was there any other questions?
You know what? I don't think I have any other questions right now, but is there a contact way I can get in touch with you just in case I have other questions?
Absolutely. I'll put
Thank
it
you.
here. Let's see here. So ladies, anything in closing before we get off this phone tonight?
No, just thank you for this opportunity to talk about this. And
Yes.
it's exciting. And I was excited to read about Houston's news. And so I'm just ready to see more jurisdictions and more counties get this going. You know, it's the heavy lift at
Yes.
the beginning, but it's like anything else. Once you lay it down and lay the foundation down, then you just kind of plug in.
That's it. And I'm excited to sort of find out what other counties would be interested in really trying to get this information as well, you know, in Illinois. So we'll see. We shall see. Have a good evening, everyone.
You too.
Much. Okay. Goodbye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.